NXT versus AEW Week 2. It is October 9th, and this is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, and tonight we've got a stacked panel. RajGiri, Matt Morgan, Justin LaBar here to talk about all the Wednesday Night Wars in its second week. Matt, did you watch both shows tonight or just AEW?
I watched both. Hey, real quick, I know we're trying something different tonight. Why don't you tell the fans at home all the
that's
other
right.
platforms we're being viewed on tonight?
We are multi-streaming tonight. We're on Facebook Live, we're on YouTube, and we're on Periscope. So
yeah,
we are literally everywhere.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But back to your question. Sorry. Awesome. I wish I could split these shows up. I really wish I could split these two shows up because these are like my two favorite shows. I like these better than SmackDown and Raw, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, right? I would take anything, either show tonight, over what we saw Monday, certainly.
No question.
How about you, Justin? What did you watch tonight?
I did my best to keep up with both of them. I was switching back and forth, and I didn't get to hear the sound last week for both of them at the viewing party, so I was really interested to hear commentary, hear the production, and this was a marathon, but it's fun. This is great.
And Raj, how did you do keeping up tonight?
It's a little exhausting, but yeah, I mean, it was kind of the same thing as I thought as last week. You know, AEW with the more impressive production and the more impressive look. I think if you went just by matches, NXT probably had the edge again, but AEW just felt like the bigger show. Chris Jericho with a killer promo. I feel like both shows have kind of been lacking that the first week. And, you know, Jericho more than made up for it. It just came across as a total superstar. So,
his promo at the end?
No, towards the beginning.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the one where he ripped on the "We the People" chant and just it just went off. I mean, he's just heads and shoulders above almost anyone in the business right now, and he just showed it right there.
He really is.
Definitely. Yeah, I watched Lio Rush win the Cruiserweight Championship on the big screen.
That was awesome.
While watching Private Party versus the Bucks on my tablet, but then I switched over and watched AEW on the big screen.
Okay,
tonight.
So here's where watching both sucks, because those are two matches, I swear to you, I would have put cash in hand and give it to someone to take for me to watch those matches. Those two specifically.
In fact,
I was so pissed they were going head to head.
Matt, I think you'll agree with this. Better even than last week. I think those two matches happening at the same time, the best simultaneous wrestling that has been on TV in at least 20 years.
No question. Yes.
Dude, Private Party has improved so much over this past year. I mean, they didn't look green at all tonight. I mean, they looked amazing. Lio Rush was fantastic. It's great seeing him winning. Now it's called the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. But man, you talk about starting two shows hot, but that's about as hot as you can start it.
Dude, they started in 10th gear.
Yeah.
Like, holy mackerel.
Yeah, NXT did a good job. They got to the first bell and the first set of moves quicker than AEW. So that grabbed my attention. It was 5 minutes in, and we got the first set of moves. It was 7 minutes in until AEW started their match going. So NXT grabbed my attention because of that. But I'm going back and forth. Yeah, that tag team match that was. I mean, tag team wrestling at its finest, and that kind of swayed me over to AEW to give more time to that segment. But yeah, I agree. That's probably the best simultaneous.
I'm really interested to see those first quarter hour numbers, because here's the thing, but for the smart marks that watch this, not smart marks, there's no such thing as that really anymore, right? Everybody is considered, the average wrestling fan, rather. They're going to, in my opinion, I have a feeling they waited. I have a feeling they did not go to NXT, even though the bell rung earlier, because they knew it was the Young Bucks that were kicking it off. Do you know what I'm saying? The average fan, yes, they're going to watch where the action is, I'm guessing, first. But the diehard fans, I think they knew the Young Bucks were coming on. I think they were going to wait. I don't know. We'll see. I'm very interested to see those first quarter hour.
Well, and speaking of quarters and numbers, one thing that AEW, again, we're getting to watch side by side, one thing they did much better, or they did less of, I should say, they did not go to break during as many matches as what NXT and WWE's general formula is. They did it. They went to break during the Darby Havoc match, but for the most part, they tried to time their breaks to where you were not going to miss action. And that's a huge thing, I think, when you're going head-to-head with somebody.
Do you guys think, what's his name, Johnny Ace felt slighted when Tony Schiavone said that I've never seen a skateboard come down a wrestling ramp before.
Well, Johnny Ace never rode it, right? He would just carry it.
Actually, I don't even know that. Did he?
Yeah, he never rode it. I don't even think he knows how to.
I thought
I
thought one of them wrote it, or was it Shane Douglas that wrote it?
It had them in Shane Douglas then.
One of them did.
Did they? I thought they both just carried it to the ring.
If there was one that didn't, it would be goofball Johnny Ace for sure.
I can't see him riding a skateboard if you look at him now, especially.
He's so uncoordinated.
So yeah, tonight I will say this, that I think NXT made a mistake by opening with such an extensive recap of what happened last Wednesday night, whereas AEW got more into the show.
Well, he just said
but
7 minutes to get a bell ring versus NXT jumping right in, it sounded like.
I mean, NXT did a recap, but they still got to the match faster.
That's true.
AEW had longer entrances between Bucks and Party.
Both of these get these matches. Both of these matches were friggin' off the hook.
Yeah. Again,
I kept it on AEW and I went back and forth. Anytime there was a rest hold, or there's not really a rest hold in the Young Bucks match, but when there was a half a pause, I was back to NXT and then back and then back. And so next week I'm putting both TVs side by freaking side.
And again, if you're a wrestling fan, if you're a hardcore wrestling fan, nothing to complain about. But if you're a newer fan or someone sampling for the first time, AEW looks major league. NXT, I mean, it looks like, ROH. NXT has this knack of making 400 people look like 100, while AEW tonight, they probably had 4,000 or 5,000 people and made it look like 10.
Now, here's the catch-22, though. The aesthetic that they're putting out, obviously, they're doing that on purpose. They are this big, humongous conglomerate. They are SmackDown and Raw in these humongous arenas with many fans, and they played stadiums before. See you later, dude. Anyways, what was I saying? So they play these big stadiums. They do these huge events and whatnot. So here's the almighty Darth Vader, if you will, of the wrestling business, trying to come across as babyface and edgy, if you will, by showing this young, independent type of show that they think are going to get these passionate wrestling fans into tuning in. Like, they're doing that on purpose. They're not going to try to compete with the production value as far as, and when I say production value, I don't mean the videos and the things of that nature, because NXT, I would argue, may do a better job in that regard. I mean, the aesthetics of the show, the fans, the arena, the pyro. The pyro, I'm still a huge mark for that. I don't know why any wrestling ever gets rid of pyro. Pyro is awesome. Mm-hmm. You can't go wrong with pyro. And tonight's show kicked off with it. I was like, this is cool. I get flashbacks of being a fan when I was younger.
Matt, can I ask you real quick with that opening match on AEW? Because a critique that I saw and I could make a case for, but I want to hear yours. Was that tag match? I mean, you're talking about a lot of finishing moves, falsies, and then it ends on a roll up. Are you okay with that?
Yes, because it took so much. When you're at that point and you've shot somebody with a friggin' Uzi 55,000 times and 55,000 bullets hit somebody, and the person just hardly stands up the last second, you could pretty much do that at that last second, and it should be enough to put them down, because they're on drunk street, if you will.
Yeah, let's go through that. Let's go through Dynamite first, and then we'll get to NXT right after that.
Yeah, Glenn.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is the Young Bucks versus Private Party that opened, as we were saying. This was the first match in the AEW Tag Team Tournament, and kind of a surprise. I thought that the Young Bucks did not win. Private Party winning by pinfall to advance in the tournament, but what a showcase for them tonight.
It was, and the second of the two, the main one's Quinn, right? Yeah. The other one is the one I told you I'm not very impressed with normally. Not just trying to crap on the kid for no reason. I'm saying Quinn is a single star in the making, and I've always been saying this whole time. Tonight and last time I saw them, the other one has really improved immensely, and that's where I think we're seeing that improvement, Raj, of them as a team being confident and not looking as green anymore. Mm-hmm. He was the weaker of the two, I always thought. And tonight, he was really good.
Isaiah Cassidy, yeah. Mark Quinn definitely has a star look to him for sure. But yeah,
he shouldn't be covered up. That dude's shredded. He's shredded.
Yeah, great match tonight. I mean, I hate to say it. I think this and Leo's match. I mean, match of the night.
Matches
both.
Good.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, both opened. This was hot, man. This was really, really good. Justin, how far do you think Private Party is going to go in this tournament?
I'd have to see the bracket. I don't think they're going to go all the way. I had made a prediction a few weeks ago when I looked at the bracket. But regardless, even if they lose next week, I mean, they just got put over by the Young Bucks on week 2 of the show. The Young Bucks are not harmed by this at all. This just elevates another team to play with, so to speak. So I thought this was great. When I looked at the bracket, I don't think I had them going all the way. I think my bracket prediction was Pentagon and Phoenix. I think that's who I had going all the way.
Ooh.
But,
okay, that's hard. That's hard to fight against.
Yeah, they're not in it, are they?
I thought they were.
Let me double check that.
I thought Nick and I did this a few weeks ago on WINC.
I agree, George Bartley. Bucks do not need the belts. I agree.
Yeah, they don't. I do think when you're trying to establish it, though, you want the finals to be your 2 biggest. You're right. The Lucha Brothers are in. You do want the 2 biggest tag teams, in the finals, and for that reason, I would have kept the Young Bucks. I'm not saying Private Party shouldn't have been in there. You could have bracketed differently where they're on the other side, and then they win in the finals. But
so hear me out. If you have Private Party, let's say somehow in Lucha Brothers in the finals, Lucha Brothers go over. You now have what was her name? I just said it wrong. Not House Party. What I call them?
Private Party.
Private Party.
House Party. Solid name for a band. If they are a tag team, if they do the Kid and Play.
Private Party is now they're brought up to the other 2 teams' level somewhat by making it that far, making it to the finals. Doing the JOB at the Lucha Brothers does not hurt them. They beat the Young Bucks. Now you have 3 tag teams right off the bat that are right up here. Versus you just have Young Bucks go to war with Lucha Brothers for the 55th time. You have 2 teams up here. Private Party's like right here.
The west side of the bracket is kind of stacked. So the way the finals would work is it'll either be Private Party, Lucha Brothers, or Jurassic Express against either Dark Order, SCU, or the Best Friends. So
why is the Best Friends even in this? Why is Dark Order even in this? They all need.
Yeah, it's not balanced well with the 2 sides.
No, it is not. And
if you had Lucha Brothers on the other side, I agree. That would be a hot final with Private Party and Lucha Brothers.
How much did AEW troll the hardcore fans tonight with the lights going out and you thinking the Dark Order was about to show up? Did that twice.
Dark Order was coming. I was hoping it was like a former WWE star or like some Sting, somebody crazy like that. That's what I kept thinking. I did never one time think it was going to be Dark Order.
I did because it was right after wasn't it right after the Best Friend segment?
Yeah, which would have made sense because the Dark Order attacked them at All Out.
Right.
The Dark Order could wrestle in front of me right now as I shoot this show, and I'll still forget their name, who they are. I want to forget them. I cannot stand them.
The Best Friends thing. I mean, we'll talk. Okay, so let's.
It reminds me of the librarian thing. It works for a small group, but on a big scale, it's not there.
It's bad, and I like both guys.
Yeah, same here.
I don't get. I don't know.
Okay, so watch this match. If you skipped AEW Dynamite tonight, if you're gonna watch the highlights, watch Private Party versus the Young Bucks. This was a fantastic match. Highly recommend it. Then we got Jericho. Man, they opened so strong with this. I thought everything sort of paled in comparison to what came before it. Jericho went out and introduced his inner circle, now as they're being called, his faction. Sami Guevara, Ortiz, Santana, Jake Hager. People were chanting, "We the People." Jericho saying straight up that was a stupid idea by bad creative. It's dead and buried. He was praising Hager's MMA work, saying he's the toughest guy. I believe he said, shoot the toughest guy in AEW. And yeah, what did you call Sami Guevara sexy at one point or something? You made some comment about the kid's looks. This was a good promo. I think Jericho has really solidified this as the dominant heel faction.
And he did one of the hardest things there is to do. Take the ammunition away from the fans when they want to chant something and they're rabid about it. Dude, as a wrestler, I'm telling you right now, that's so hard to do. And the fact that he's able to chump the entire arena, he totally just jabroned where they all felt like cornballs for chanting it.
Yeah.
Like that, he did it. He's so good.
Yeah, he tried to move on to the next thing he wanted to say, which he wanted to put over Jake as being a tough MMA fighter, and he got as far as MMA, and then he said, "Okay, we'll stop." He let them chant for a few more seconds. You're right, totally flipped it on them, got them to rally behind the anti-WWE thing. The way that he introduced each of these people made them seem more important. The way he flipped it, he's using the list, but now as a good thing if you're on his list. I mean, he totally just cemented his group. It was promo gold the way he pulled this off. And this is great for a new promotion to have the most credible guy who is your champion, have a heel faction with some recognizable faces and some new faces. That's great to have baby faces chasing.
LAX and Guevara were made in that one segment alone.
Absolutely. This was a money promo. Jericho came across as a star. He built up his opponent. He built up the feud with Cody, got over these other guys like they're really important. They mean something, and came across just looking like a superstar. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't see promos like that much anymore, and it just felt real, organic. Again, I hate, I always bring up the Nitro comparisons, but how the old Nitro, promos used to feel, the good ones, where it would really make the guys. So
actually, no, it's funny that you mentioned that, Matt. You could probably speak to this. I seem to recall TNT had a lot of promos like this, or TNA, pardon me. TNA did an Impact having where you would have the biggest star, and they're putting over the other guys that were with them. I feel like WWE doesn't do this enough to have the one guy with the guys standing behind him and putting everyone over. I really like that. I think that's a very effective tactic. And tonight, Jericho did it masterfully.
What's up, Peter Bahi? Yeah, he definitely did. I mean, what else can we add to that other than that was freaking gold? And he is like 3 levels ahead of everyone else in the entire business right now. It's not even close.
That promo kind of epitomized what I think a lot of fans are hoping AEW will be, that WWE is not, which is less script. It just felt just Jericho, go out there and get your guys over.
And after the show, even though he said some basic heel 101 promo stuff, it felt like he grabbed the mic when he wasn't supposed to grab the mic and just started talking. You know what I mean? Like it didn't feel like that was what he was supposed to go out and do after they got their asses handed to them. They were supposed to close the show out that way, walking up the ramp as a group. Like it didn't feel like he was supposed to grab the mic and talk. And if he was, it felt like a shoot, which is what you want.
Yeah, it felt organic.
It did. It did. A lot of it did. Him and Dustin as well in the middle of their match at one point. Dustin came in at the beginning and glommed him from behind right as Jericho made the tag out. Right when Jericho started the match, he tagged out really quick. Dustin glommed him through the ropes, followed him out around the ring, and started beating his butt. And it looked like Jericho wasn't expecting it. Again, these two are pros, right? Hall of Famers. And they worked me into thinking that was wow, Dustin, Jericho didn't look like he wasn't expecting that.
Yeah,
he's so good. I'm swinging on him. I'm not going to pretend I'm not. He's that good. Tonight he proved it again.
Yeah.
After this, we had Matt, you were so looking forward to this match. Jimmy Havoc, your favorite wrestler, versus Darby Allin. Goth versus emo.
Good. The right guy won.
Yeah.
The right guy won.
It was all that it needed to be, right, to get Darby even more over.
Yes, Darby's awesome. His music is cool. That's not going about. I think his music entrance is cool. I think he himself is cool. His gimmick is cool. It's different. Even though he's shorter, he looks like an athlete, right? He's cut. He's not like some fat little short slob or a skinny fat guy. He looks like an athlete. He's just shorter, but he looks like an athlete.
I was gonna say sort of like a muscular, scrawny emo kid.
No, he's not scrawny. I think he looks good. I think he looks athletic, and because he is obviously an athlete. Look at him.
Yeah. Darby definitely looks more like a star. Matt, to your point, AEW is saying wins and losses matter. Darby Allin has not. He's had one other win. It was a dark match before this. So, but they did use that in storyline. I can't say Pac. Pac feels weird. Yeah,
let's force it. Let's force him back to Pac.
Yeah, Pac is so much cooler. But Pac bringing up why are these guys in the world title picture when I got a much better win-loss record? So
thank you for saying that. I love that he was saying that.
Yeah, no, storyline, it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, I get it. For TV, you don't want to waste the big matches, but
I don't want to be out here talking with you two chumps. I need to be in the middle of that ring. What the hell's going on here? He's right.
Right. Yeah.
I love that he was saying that.
And didn't he say he had one loss in the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wasn't that true. The Enzo?
No. Well, he means since he left WWE. That was 2000.
He was in WWE 2 years ago at this time.
This was right when he left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to look it up. I forgot. I was like, did Enzo actually legit ever beat him? And he did with a low blow.
Yeah, he left shortly thereafter.
I'll say that's what supposedly triggered the meltdown.
Yeah. So look, Darby just continued to get over tonight. The pop for that coffin drop that he did at the end was so loud. I mean, the crowd just loves this kid. The kid versus Jericho is great, but do you, Matt, let me ask you this. Do you think it's a mistake? Like, it cuts both ways. He gets in that main event segment with Jericho next week for the championship, but he's going to lose.
That's okay. And Jericho, once again, did a great job of selling 2 matches the entire time, dude. He was on, like, he sold him versus Cody. He also, and by the way, Skateboard Kid, you're dead next week. It's your funeral, bitch, and everyone popped for it.
Yeah.
The last thing I tweeted, just as I tweeted everybody that we're live here on all these platforms tonight, which is awesome, was the best compliment I can give AEW is that, especially in that final segment, they made everybody feel like a star. Like everybody,
yes, they did.
And that's something we don't get. We haven't been getting,
Isn't it weird though how when WWE does it, when they just cram all these people into the segment, we say, oh, it takes away from everyone's unique specialness. It brings people down. It makes it feel like we're just emptying the locker room. Sometimes, I mean, when's the last multi-man segment?
Locker room clear and brawl like they did the other night with the boxing guy. It made everyone look like chumps and jabronis that were breaking.
Or if they're all chasing a title, a 24/7 title that makes them look like
doing conga lines. That's different. That's not what this was. This
was
inventors.
Or when they're doing fatal 5-ways every other week, or they're doing 8-man tag matches. I think about doing it with promos and attacks the way they did tonight. I think that's why it worked a little bit better.
To your comparison, Glenn, this is what AEW has in their favor, is the fact that they have a clean slate. All these characters are brand new in the AEW universe, whereas you can have a fatal 5 on Raw, and you're like, well, 3 of these guys haven't won since the 3rd grade picnic. So it's like... That's the benefit AEW has with a clean slate.
That's actually a good point. That is a good point.
Yeah. After that women's match, Bea Priestley and Emi Sakura versus AEW Women's Champion Rio and Dr. Britt Baker.
Who was the girl that wrestled last week? Did you guys catch the dark yet? The dark version of the show? The dark matches?
I haven't been able to watch it yet.
No.
Penelope Ford is a
stud,
dude. They need to get her on like main TV now. She's awesome. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say about this match. She needed to be in this match, like wrestling and featured.
I feel like the women's division in AEW, they don't quite have dialed yet how to do it.
Well, because they're figuring out which of these girls are going to catch and which ones aren't, right? They still got to do that part. Who's going to catch with these fans and who's not? Britt Baker is obviously one of them, right? I think we agree with that.
Cheap plug, Britt Baker will be on Wrestling Rally with Justin LaBar, presented by Blue Chew this weekend.
I feel they're wrong with Riho, by the way. I think they're very incorrect with her.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, compared to NXT tonight, I thought one women's wrestling.
Oh my goodness, it's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, WWE did a great job of snatching up all the top women. Right now, who do you got outside of WWE that can really make a difference? You got Tessa Blanchard,
Kong,
who they have, who's also a coach, and who's been working backstage. She's been coaching, but she will be back on AEW soon.
They need to get her back because she is instant credibility and instant friggin' monster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Emma, Tennille Dashwood. But
dude, Emma's really good call. I forgot about Emma. Emma's really, really good. Like, remember, we thought she was going to be the real deal for the women's division for a while there.
Yeah.
But then they brought her up, did what they did with her.
Yeah. So WWE they did a great job of snatching up the top women, but and so AEW is really starting from scratch there.
Yes.
It's interesting in the main event tag tonight, Jericho got the victory, but in this women's tag match, Britt Baker used the mandible claw, forced Sakura to tap out.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
The champion Riho did not win the women's tag match, whereas Jericho won the tag match at the end of the show.
Well, I think they're building to Britt Baker and Riho, so it kind of makes sense for Riho to get the win there. I don't know.
How do they not see Britt Baker being the underdog-ish babyface, having to fight? What's the girl that's odds on we're supposed to win the championship and she didn't? What's her name again?
Nyla Rose.
Nyla Rose as that money match and have her chase her for the title till she eventually beats her.
I think the Dennis thing is a weird gimmick, man.
It is, but it's okay.
But she is legit.
I understand that. I understand that.
Her using the mandible claw and Jim Ross taking a shot at Bray Wyatt. Did you hear that?
Oh, no.
No.
He said something along the lines of, finally someone properly applying the mandible claw or something like that.
Wow.
I gotta say, watching both shows, commentary is the number one thing that suffers for me because I got Morrow in my ear while I got JR and Tony on the TV.
I was listening to Cornette's show this past week, and he was best friends with Jim Ross. Put over Morrow as the better broadcast last week's back to NXT versus AEW.
Really? Because when I listen to JR and Tony Schiavone, I don't know if it's because of nostalgia from the Monday Night Wars, but they're my favorite commentary team, with Excalibur since probably Morrow and King when they were doing SmackDown.
I think it's the same way for me. I think it's the mark in me that likes seeing them on my TV telling me about my wrestling.
Right.
The only thing is, let's be honest. Do you really feel Jim Ross talks about these guys with the same exuberance that he did versus the WWE guys?
He's getting better.
He has gotten better.
There's no sarcastic. He wasn't making no sarcastic comments back then. He wasn't making these offhand comments back then that he does now, where it seems at times like he's too cool for school. Every once in a while. And this is the guy who gave me my job. I love him to death, so I'm not trying to crap on him, obviously. I'm just probably overanalyzing here because when I do listen to him more, I'm like, he amps me up.
Oh, I used to feel that big time for a while, especially with the first AEW pay-per-views and with New Japan when he was doing commentary there. But he definitely feels like, I don't know if he's getting more familiar with these guys but he feels like he's more comfortable and he's not doing it as much, but he still is doing it. I agree. He's not calling them the same way he would call DX or
anybody, even like D'Lo Brown versus friggin' The Godfather. Like seriously.
Right.
At least he's mentally present. I mean, Lawler just sounds like it's a robot. They're just playing old sound clips of his old jokes.
You're right. And I mean, I'm hoping he gets there. I hope he gets it because that's what it's going to take to get these guys to become household names.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you got to have the announced team excited.
Yeah.
And what they're watching, so we at home feel the same way.
And Tony Schiavone has been outstanding. I feel like he has been great for someone out of the loop for so long. He doesn't treat these guys like they're not stars. Like he treats them like it's no different than how he used to call Nitro.
What a comeback story with Tony. Remember, Raj, we had him on this podcast, 3 years ago when he was starting to do podcasts. He's talking about how he had a day job for a while. I think he was working at Starbucks. Right. He'd been, just out of the game for so long and just this meteoric rise back to the top.
He was announcing baseball, I thought.
He was doing some local minor league stuff.
Yeah, local stuff.
Not much money in that, though.
Well, and you could actually kind of hear his natural coming back into it and excitement. Like at the one point when he said, "Oh, it's called the Vader bomb now," and that.
I appreciate that though. I don't know. I appreciate that.
I'll tell you what, I hate 3-man commentary, and this is a person who I got my degree in broadcasting. I hate 3-man commentary teams, whether it's wrestling, sports, whatever. But I will say I think the AEW 3-man commentary team is coming off better than I enjoy listening to them.
Here's why they need him. As ridiculous as I hate Excalibur wearing that stupid gimmick out there. I think it's weird. I think it's hokey, and people clicking through the channels that are mainstream. I just don't like it. But they desperately need him out there to connect those guys to today's wrestlers, in my opinion, with being able to keep up with the action if they're not able to keep up. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about it. Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone have never called wrestling at this space. Jim Ross did, yes, for New Japan. But this is a fast pace with independent wrestlers that he's probably never seen before.
JR just thinking in his mind, why aren't they taking any rest holds? Why am I not catching a breath here?
Well, no, you can hear it in his voice at times going like, guys, I'm begging you for some freaking ring psychology here. What are you doing? Yeah. This is the 55th super kick. You can hear it in his voice, and I'm with him sometimes when he's doing it. I agree at times.
Yeah. I think NXT is more polished, but I think tonight Morrow sounds sometimes like a parody of Morrow. You know what I mean?
Well, my point was I was just surprised to hear his best, the guy who thinks the highest of him, which is Cornette.
Yeah.
Make that compare, saying, wow, Morrow, I thought had a better week last week. That's all I was trying to say.
And real quick, we'll get to this later, but Matt, did you watch NWA Powerrr?
Yes, I did.
All right, we'll talk about that later. Jim Cornette was fantastic on commentary.
Dude, he never says the same thing twice. He's give him a promo, he'll read it 5 different ways. He's crazy. He's such a good, crazy promo. He's awesome.
So Bea Priestley gave Britt Baker a bit of a shiner. You can see that on the line. After that, we had the best friends in the crowd. This was the one pre-produced video package tonight. Was the thing they showed of them walking in the field and hugging. I don't get this at all. Orange Cassidy was there. He got a big pop from the crowd. What do you think about this, Matt? It feels like they're still, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, are they still keeping the storytelling to YouTube primarily each week? Because I feel like on TV, they're not doing segments.
They didn't really move Orange Cassidy forward. He didn't talk or do anything in being the elite episode last. He just kind of sat there in the locker room. They thought he was asleep. They took his glasses off and he was wide awake. That's really it. But I don't like. I love Orange Cassidy. I just don't love the best friend thing. I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah.
This is true, JC Harrington. He says sometimes Morrow's sometimes too over the top. And
the Mamma Mia's don't mean anything anymore. It's
when you do it every week, it definitely it's like when Joey Styles would always do, oh my God, when you hear it once in a while, it was cool, but when it was all the time, it just got old.
Like, I don't know if they have it yet, but I'm sure it's not too far off. They're going to have T-shirts that say Mamma Mia that Morrow's going to be hawking.
Dude, the fans chant it now.
Yeah. Sean Spears with Tully Blanchard. So the lights went out after the best friend segment, leading Raj and me. Not Matt, though. We want to be very clear. Matt did not think the Dark Order was coming. And so we got Sean Spears, the chairman, with Tully Blanchard versus Jon Moxley. A year ago, if this was Ty Dillinger versus Dean Ambrose, actually, that would have been remarkable when Ty Dillinger is getting a match against Dean Ambrose. Yeah, actually, that would have been cool. But this tonight, Matt, what did you think of this match?
Great match. Great. This was a hard-hitting match. They did a lot of stuff, but it all made sense. It had a lot of psychology to it, I thought. Dean Ambrose, I gotta stop calling him that. Moxley has added a lot of new stuff to his offense and his game. I really dig it. I don't know what's up with his physique at the moment. He just came off of an infection. That's
He's had MRSA for ever.
I remember when I had a staph infection, I lost 5 pounds, looked like ass. It took a while to build back up, but similar type of thing that he had. I had at my rear deltoid here. But anyways, he has changed his game completely. I think his style is completely different in what he's doing in the ring. But what do you guys think of his gear? Did you think that was kind of indie-rific a little bit? His tights with barbed wire going around them? You didn't think that was kind of indie?
I did. I kind of feel like Moxley's also lost a step over the last few months as far as star power, as far as feeling like a main eventer. You compare him to Jericho tonight. Jericho comes across as this gigantic superstar. Moxley, who did a few months ago, didn't as much to me here. It was almost like, there's Moxley.
When he first started, Raj, remember when he made his big surprise debut? He was bigger than Jericho that night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I think Moxley needs some promo time or something. He needs to cut a killer promo and do something like that to just kind of get some of his edge back.
Yeah, the fact that he got sick and he couldn't do the September show, and Raj, to your point, what made him Matt, bigger than Jericho that night was, because there was all the real mystique coming off him. The guy that walked out, or not walked out, but just turned away from WWE money and what's going to happen? Shut up. If he would have been cutting a Jericho style promo tonight, but yeah, I think they need some mic time for him. He needs to get.
You got even after that first night where he was a surprise. Even the video promos that he did backstage were freaking grand slams. As well, on top of it, they need to produce him in those type of non-produced settings, if that makes sense. Give him the mic, let him do his thing.
Yeah.
But you got to get him amped up against something. Think about it. This was his first appearance to give the double birds to WWE. Every one of us have a lot of piss and vinegar in us when we have that opportunity with the company that we're going to. That's everybody that has that. So the question is, what happens once that dies down and there's no more real animosity towards WWE? I hope there is, because that's where he's getting his oomph from, I thought.
Right.
I haven't thought the gear tonight. I missed the spray painted shirt, the spray painted vest. I think he looked more rough and tumble before tonight. It was different.
And at least he's not wrestling in jeans. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't like
better
that
than
either. I hated that. So you're right.
It's better than that. Yeah, it's better than the plumber outfit that he had for a while.
No, you guys are right. Definitely correct on this. Yeah.
So I'm getting a tweet at me from a source I trust, Ethan Kramer, a fan of us, saying they announced tonight that next week from Philadelphia, Riho will defend the women's championship against Britt Baker.
Okay.
Britt Baker's taking an offer.
Already?
That's
No?
like the
I think it's too
shittiest
soon.
technicality to be like the first champ for 2 weeks.
Okay, but nobody's gonna remember Riho. I'm being serious. No one's gonna.
Those fans popped huge when she won last week. I mean,
She's
that was probably
likable.
one of the biggest pops on the show last week. I don't know. We'll
You
see.
You can't have your first champ lose 2 weeks in.
Are you gonna put a T-shirt that says Rio on it and think you're gonna sell it?
I mean, I'm pretty.
I would argue
wrestling.
Britt Baker, I would argue, has a better chance of doing that. I would argue the other girl has a better chance. Any one of them have a better chance of doing that. I'm just not a fan of her.
Well, I mean, maybe they string us along. Maybe they say we're gonna have a match and Britt gets attacked and she come into the ring or something. Maybe they just string it out because it would be kind of weird. That is kind of quick to quickly put the title in.
Dude, even Penelope Ford, I think is better. I think there's so many girls that are more deserving. No offense to her, than Rio. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega is a big fan of Rio.
Kenny Omega's upper freaking, that's ridiculous. Because he thinks she's the greatest. Is that why she gets this? You know what I mean? There's other girls that have been, I think that are more deserving.
Wasn't that Cornette's rant about Rio?
No.
That was
What
like it's all I believe it. Justin, did you hear this? They're saying that it was like because Kenny Omega, like they're friends. I think Cornette thought that she was the girl that he wrestled that was like 7 or 8 years ago.
She's not.
She's not. I saw this quoted online. Either someone was writing but it's the thing with Cornette, you could write shit like that, whether he said it or not. That sounds like something Cornette would say.
Totally does. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Cornette hates anything Kenny Omega. So Kenny Omega is a Rio supporter, then he hates her. But I like Rio.
She's fine, but she's not. I don't know.
She should not be the first champion. Are you kidding me?
This dentist gimmick, though, man. Like
it doesn't have to be her either.
It's not even as
should be Nyla Rose.
Yes.
It should be Nyla.
Well, the fact that she actually
Nyla does amazing PR for the record.
Yeah,
amazing PR.
And you can do Nyla versus Awesome Kong as an introductory way to kind of put over the women's division.
And I want to hear what Justin's about to say because I have a counterpoint to this.
Well, Glenn, you keep saying gimmick. She works in the dentist's office simultaneously right now.
Okay, so you went to school for broadcasting, so if you had a wrestling gimmick, you're going to come out with a microphone like in your hand and be like doing your hair and everything and be like, where's my camera? Where's my prompter? Where are my notes?
Let me explain. Let me break this down on why that's as important, Justin, for Glenn who doesn't understand it real quick. Wrestlers get a bad rap of being dumb lunks, dumb jocks, this and that. So if you notice, anytime JR and others get the opportunity to put over someone's legitimate intelligence, like when Bradshaw was on, what do you call it? The Fox show.
The Bulls and Bears, yeah.
Thank you. Those types of things, you have to broadcast that because it tells the audience these are not just dumb jocks. These are really intelligent people that chose to do this because they're passionate about it. And it shows Britt Baker's passion to be a pro wrestler. She's willing to put it all on the line, even though she's got this amazing job as a dentist.
So you were a big fan of the Harvard Chris gimmick, is what you're saying?
Yes. That gave WWE legitimate. What's the word? Legitimacy.
Yeah. I mean, as AEW grows, and if they want to start doing the things that we see WWE talent do, which is speaking to youth and going out there, like Britt can say, she's got a graduate degree. She got an undergrad at Penn State. She got a graduate at Pitt. When they do TV here in Pittsburgh in a few weeks, the building they're doing the TV in is the building she got her degree in. It's the building her commencement was. I mean, like, there's a lot of
interesting bit of trivia, but is that really
But she can go. But again, it's to the credibility. It's just like Chris Nowinski. It's like she's not just another talent that went into a wrestling school. She's somebody who's higher educated, like and practicing in her field simultaneously. So
we have all makes, models, sizes, and shapes here in the world of wrestling, folks. And here's another example of it. That's what that is.
It's not a gimmick. It's an extension of her. It's not a gimmick. It's an extension of her.
And Glenn, I mean, to your point, if she was coming out like Dr. Isaac Yankem with the coat and the light on her head,
it's in her logo with the stethoscope, and
it's in the logo, but it's not like she's coming out in full dental gear and like using pliers during the match.
Look at what her gear looks like again closely, Raj.
Her theme music isn't the sound of a drill like Isaac Yankem's was.
Yeah, I mean, if that was all she, if it was a gimmick like the old WWF occupational gimmicks that they used to have with like Duke the Dumpster, or is incorporated in her character and everything, then yes, I think it would be a bad idea. But
Matt, how come you weren't coming out to the ring trying to rent people cars in your wrestling career?
You want to hear something crazy? On Tough Enough, the very first conversation I had with Al Snow was after they told us about like how we have to find an extension of ourselves. What are we like in real life? What are we interested? What are we not? And he started asking us like, what are we doing for like work at the moment? Right. Mm-hmm. I had just graduated. I was selling cars for Enterprise car sales. And he was like, oh, that'd be great. You'd be this, everybody hates a used car salesman. That's what you would be. That would be awesome. You put you in a suit and tie. You'd be this sleazy, scummy salesperson. No one would want to deal with you.
Last question to Glenn.
Snow, you came up with my stuttering gimmick undercover, didn't you?
Matt, the way you say it like that, I actually think that gimmick has potential. It's a little more universal.
Last question to Glenn. We can move off it. Glenn, do you find it more offensive that she has the gimmick of a dentist, or would it be weirder if the fact she was simultaneously a practicing dentist and they didn't acknowledge it at all? If you just had to find out, here's this talent on national TV wrestling who's also going to a dentist's office every week, wouldn't that be weird? They don't even acknowledge that.
I think it's a very interesting part of her backstory, but I think just dial it back like 2 notches. That's my take on it.
We're spending way too much time on this. Keep it moving.
Yes. After that.
No, seriously.
I lost where I was in the. Wow, got all these tabs open. What happened after that, Raj?
Oh.
After the girls' match.
After the
here, I'm back on the sheet. So after the women's match ended, we got that was the best friends thing. Moxley versus Shawn Spears, which we talked about.
We already talked about.
Yes. And then we were at the main event. Well, Kenny Omega came out after Moxley won via pinfall. Pac, still sounds weird to say, was on commentary. Weird shot when they panned over to him and he's looking all like wet hair and shirtless, but then with the headphones on. I thought that was a mistake, but I thought he was very good on commentary tonight, and I like that they're mixing him up with these guys.
He was great on it. And again, like we mentioned earlier, he brought up that, these guys don't have the win-loss record that he does. Why is he not getting a title shot?
He's right. He is. Sam 7. It's very true. And I did, as stupid as I may be for not seeing that coming, I did not see him coming and glomming Kenny from behind afterwards with the chair.
That was a cool spot
I did not see that coming.
Omega Omega had a broom wrapped in barbed wire, and then a bat wrapped in barbed wire. Threw the bat to Moxley, and they were about to fight, and then Pat came from behind and nailed Omega.
Perfect.
Moxley was pissed, but didn't do anything, just kind of walked off. So it was pretty cool.
It was perfectly played, dude. They built everybody up to the highest that they've been to see these two go at it finally. And they yanked the carpet out. It was perfect timing. And it gets, again, Pac in the middle of a really big-time feud as well. Yeah. Gives him some spotlight, too. I should have seen it coming. I don't know why I didn't, but I didn't.
No, it was a good spot. I think these guys, where they're at, there's so many matches they can have right now.
Oh, and Kenny did a good job. I mean, that's serious, of holding a serious face and not goofing around. I mean, serious.
Yeah.
There's times where he goofs around. At times he's having fun out there, and that's what's gotten him over, I would argue, as well, too. But here was a serious situation. Somebody's about to hit you with a freaking, barbed wire bat that you just threw to him. You've got one in your hand. You're not goofing around. You're not making funny faces. You're not trying to make people laugh. You're dead serious. And he did a good job, I thought, of holding that tonight.
I think he must have heard on the podcast last week that I called him adorable and was like, I'll show you how serious I can be. I went out there tonight. Yeah,
he needs to do more of that in these big time angles with the dude who just put him through glass last week.
Yeah, I mean, he had a broom wrapped in barbed wire and he made it look serious. So yeah, it was a cool spot.
And the main event: Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus Dustin Rhodes and Hangman Adam Page in a tag match.
Dustin Rhodes, props to him, man. I was thinking about his career, watching this, just how well he performs at his age and his physique.
He's just like remember when ECW came back for WWE for a little bit there? They did the one that Zack Ryder was on, and Christian was the champion of. Goldust, remember when he was like wrestling Sheamus, a young Sheamus?
Right.
Goldust is that's when he got like really cut up and got in like the best ring cardio shape of his career. That's what he looked like here tonight to me. Yeah. He does not blow up. He does not get gassed. He is so fast when he hits those ropes.
Well, before his match with Cody, he's looked in tremendous shape for a long time now. He had his issues, he got help, and now he just looks fantastic. He's looked fantastic, and he even got in even better shape this year before the match with Cody, and it shows. So, to your point, Justin, props to him at his age to be looking, better than ever in a lot of ways. It's a true testament.
He is in better cardio, I'm not joking, than at least 75 to 80% of those guys.
Yeah. I'm going to say this. I was so wrong about Adam Page, and I think the early praise thinking he could be the top guy in this company. Compared to everyone else on the roster, he has no swagger whatsoever.
I'll admit, he hasn't impressed me these last few months. Since AEW started, he always looked the part. But yeah, I agree. He hasn't been standing out.
I don't know what to say to that. I still think because he's so young, you know what I mean, that both him and MJF are going to be enormous stars, like flag bearing stars for either of these two companies, and WWE as well.
Out of the four guys in this match, Glenn, I agree. He's the least interesting, least over to me.
Yeah, Sami Guevara looked more. He looked more.
Sami looks like a star.
Yeah, like he
looked more. Really?
I thought so. Like as far as his facials, his swagger.
Stupid thing Sami does with his tongue and the weird Axl Rose dance looks cooler than Hangman, who just looks like a kind of. He looks like not Kevin Costner. He looks like the guy who would be the second sidekick. It would be Kevin Costner, Woody Harrelson, then Hangman Adam Page in an early '90s
that's
cowboy
who he
movie.
played in being the Elite Series, essentially.
Well, Shivani tried to compare him to Barry Windham on commentary.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh.
He's like 5 inches shorter.
Right. Barry Windham was like, what, 6'4"?
Every bit of 6'5", 6'6", I would say. He's huge.
Yeah, he was like Hogan's height.
But Dustin has the gravitas to him, right? Especially at this stage in his career, talking about his performance, the way he carries himself.
And he's got the fire in the ring when he turns it on. We'll just have to give it time. With Page, he hasn't gotten any promo time. They haven't really. Him and Omega both. I feel like they haven't done the best job with them.
They haven't. It's a good call. They haven't. They've not put them in scenarios where they can let the fans learn a little bit more about them. Like, okay, his match versus Jericho, he should have been incredibly cutting like these. I thought he did on that indie show that I don't know if you guys caught it, where he's talking about we do cowboy things or what was he call it? Some stuff like that. I thought that caught on.
Cowboy shit.
I thought that caught on pretty big, and I thought he was going to be off and sailing after that, but it's not been that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jericho and Sami won that match with Jericho.
Wow, yeah, the John L's point. Could you imagine?
Yes.
They put the title
I remember thinking, yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jericho was absolutely the right move. So Jericho pinned Dustin, and after that, the lights went out again. Thankfully, no Dark Order. Instead, we got Cody.
Why did the lights have to go out for Cody?
I don't know. They're trolling you, Raj. They want you to think it's the Dark Order, but it's not.
I could see if it's a returning star or someone else, but Cody has been there. Just have him run from the back.
WCWs do it all the time.
But they do it for like Sting.
No, it'd be like Brian Lee and like
ECW
standing in the ring.
ECW.
Yeah, ECW did it for, they'll be like, come back on. Jake the Snake Roberts randomly signed a deal that night and he beat somebody.
It's the cheapest effect. It costs nothing.
Well, they
on it.
They didn't need to do it for Cody because the entire crowd was chanting for Cody, so he could have just came running out and it would have been fine.
Yeah, when they're beating down Dustin, that Cody's coming. That's like then turning off the lights and then it's the Young Bucks. They've all been there. It's not you save the lights going up for surprises.
It's that video shot of it though. When somebody's running down the ramp, it's, in my opinion, it's anticlimactic versus lights off, lights on. Dude is in the ring and they're zoomed in. They're hugging his face. And
so everyone ganged up on Cody, and then
Sorry.
MJF came out. had the chair.
Oh,
Looked like for a second again. Is MJF going to turn on Cody? No. MJF babyface turn tonight. Took out the inner circle. Saved his best friend. Then Darby came in. Oh, sorry. Go.
I threw my son's flip-flop at the TV at this one. I wanted MJF to turn fully.
Yeah.
Well, they did the same thing at the last pay-per-view, right? Where MJF was teasing he was going to hit Cody, but he hit Sean Spears. It's coming. They don't want to do it too quick. Cody's got his dancing partner with Jericho right now.
That's what's so crazy about his character right now. He still is a heel. He's a jerk.
Yeah.
He wrestles his matches as a heel. It's just in this one context with Cody, he's considered a face.
And he got like the loudest babyface reaction tonight when he.
And that's why I don't want to sound like an idiot saying this, because you're right, Raj. His pop was huge, but like if he better turn on Cody, because if it turns out that they're just going to put him on the baby face side of the fence, like that to me sums up the biggest issue I have with wrestling fans that I argue with them about, like Baron Corbin, which is, if a heel's really good at his job, he has to be considered a babyface. No, if a heel's really good, he's just a really talented heel at making you dislike him. That's what MJF is. We do not need to turn him babyface because he's a quality heel.
Hang on.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think any of it has to do with politics, that he is so damn good at being a heel in his promos that there may be some, I'm not saying any names, that may see him as a threat?
Yeah, you're right. You can't have
WWE. Trust me, that's exactly what would be happening.
There's no politics in wrestling, man.
Yeah, we talked about
Mr.
this.
Mayor, keep it out there.
We talked about this over the summer. He gives I think he's a better heel than Jericho is, and you can't. Come on, really?
Not yet.
No,
Jericho does the whole star thing with being a heel, whereas MJF has got great lines.
So
I want to punch MJF in his face way more than I want to punch Chris Jericho. I want to get mad at Jericho, but then I want to hang out with him immediately after and tell him continue to make me laugh because he's the funniest guy on the planet.
Yeah, Jericho comes out and you feel like a superstar is coming out.
No question. Yes.
So he's a rock star.
Yes. Yeah. But I think I hate MJF worse.
Right. Yeah.
I want them to try and do something brand new in wrestling and do the asshole babyface.
Well, no, MJF cannot be babyface.
He can't be a babyface.
Yo.
And to your guys' point about him turning on Cody, it's gonna happen. But like with Hogan and Savage, you don't do that the first time they have a disagreement. You build that over time. You build this out on TV for a while. So when it finally does happen, it means that much more. So I say give it time. Give it 6 months.
Samet 7, I think Orange Cassidy is the next AEW champion.
I want Orange Cassidy to be the guy who takes the belt off MJF like 2 years from now.
We'll see. We'll see if that lasts.
Orange Cassidy with his gimmick, guys, it's too much work for him to pass in the title. Number 1, 2, I would argue even to get rid over his head. It's too much work.
Right. Yeah.
With MJF, with his face, his suit, and his scarf, does anybody else get this? He looks like a white Alberto Del Rio. Seriously, look at him. He looks like a white Alberto Del Rio.
I could see that. Now that's all I'm going to see when I see him.
Did you guys being the Elite? You guys
no, not this week.
Last episode MJF was on. He made an appearance real quick, and he showed his new scarf off that they're selling at the merch stand, and it says "Year 2" something like what year?
I can't afford a real scarf.
Yeah, I can't afford a real Burberry scarf.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was pretty good.
He's great. So we ended tonight with Darby coming in on a skateboard and hitting.
Could you imagine what he could do on that Raw set with that skateboard?
Oh yeah.
Dude, that was pretty clutch. I know he's a pro and all, like that's
because Natty was sliding down it like it was a half pipe, and Lacey was throwing her into it. Her leather was just sliding up and down. That thing.
And we went off the air with Jericho telling Darby, next week it's your funeral, bitch. And yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I think that's going to be a great match next week. This was really good tonight for the second week of TV, but just not enough storytelling for my taste.
I think they're getting there. I don't think you want to cram too much in. And, I think they're getting there. You got a little bit of MJF Cody. You got a little bit of, you got Jericho Allen, Jericho Cody. One thing, they launched that Inner Circle, the name of the group, and they launched their new shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees after the show, and it crashed their servers. So already big demand for the Inner Circle shirts.
I thought it was cool too, right? When Jericho revealed that their name was going to be Inner Circle, the hashtag Inner Circle came up on the screen. Like they really rolled that out nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had that tonight. And then over on NXT, we opened up with Lio Rush versus Drew Gulak for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship, putting on a hell of a match. And with Lio Rush becoming the first NXT Cruiserweight champion. Justin, we said on this podcast, you predicted Lio Rush. We'd seen the last of him on WWE TV due to the heat he had backstage earlier this year.
I've had to. All right, you've brought this up like 3 times since it happened. I've had to own up and answer to it. I'll do it one more time. Yes, I was wrong. I thought he would be gone from WWE for some time before we saw him back again. I was wrong by that, but I'm happy I'm wrong because
you should spare yourself from Chair Shot Reality, and I should take over.
Chair Shot's been retired for since December, Matt.
So much Matt pays attention. Matt's like, I'm behind on episodes. Yeah, don't spoil it.
Justin's on our podcast like 4 times a week now.
Right. No, but I'm glad Leo's back, and this was the right move. Like the even if they're calling it the NXT Cruiserweight, like the title now has a new era, the division has a new era now that it's being housed in NXT. He's the right person. As talented as Drew Gulak is, Leo's the right person right now with the momentum and red hot return.
Listen, wouldn't you rather have this on NXT though?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like this is right. This fits. This is where it should be.
I mean, we've been saying this forever that that NXT should absorb 205 Live in the Cruiserweight division. And you look at the difference. Look at how hot this match was on NXT. Whereas if this was on 205 Live or on Raw, it would have died. That's what Cruiserweight matches do. They don't get over on the main roster.
I understand though, you guys, is when it would happen on Raw and SmackDown. I'm sitting there going, but sometimes with some of these 2 cruiserweights, I'm going, what the hell? Like Austin Aries and like Pac. I'm like, what else do these people want?
Yeah,
like, really good stuff, you idiots. Freaking clap your hands, cheer, show appreciation. This is good stuff, and this is why the cruiserweights are going to get buried, and Vince is never going to take them serious.
Well, because the cruiserweights, they tried with Brian Kendrick and TJ Perkins originally to build them as characters on Raw. That didn't go over. So how many characters did we ever really have in the cruiserweight division? I mean, we had Enzo.
Good job.
Yeah, we had Neville, we had Austin, and like Gulak a little bit, but they never really like Rich Swann. What was his deal? I still can't. Wasn't he in the thing with Alicia Fox? Like
Enzo was the biggest character they had, and that was by default.
By far, he was the biggest that they had. He was the only one that got a reaction on that show.
And Glenn, you just mentioned TJP. We talk. Let's all remember, TJ Perkins was the first cruiserweight champion of this rebirth of it again. Talk about Rio as the first AEW Women's Champion, and where does that go? Like
Rio's the TJP of AEW's women. No, I think Lio. I don't think they're going to put him on Raw, but is 205 Live going to continue? What's the scoop there?
Well, it was taken off the air last week at the last minute. It's on the schedule right now for this week, but we'll see. It just feels like a dead brand, and I mean, why continue it? No one cares.
I will say, and it's too bad we don't have Nick Hausman here, I would have paid money to see Lio narrating what was going on with Bobby Lashley and Lana on Monday on Raw. That might have saved that segment.
Yeah.
It would have.
Yeah. But no, look, congratulations to Lio. I think this is a much better role for him. This match tonight against Drew was amazing. He's got all the personality in the world. His music is good. How often can you say that about a wrestler who makes music? It's a very, very short list. I think it's Jericho and Lio, right? Am I missing Jeff Hardy's band? But no, I think
John Cena rapped his iconic entrance theme.
And aside from that, did you ever listen to the other tracks on the Trademark album?
No, but I know you have.
I have. Let me tell you. The best one is the one they chose.
You watched every Marine. I have no doubt that you have heard John Cena's.
I never saw part 2. Never saw the Marine 2. Ted DiBiase Jr. It's supposed to be Randy Orton, but alas. Anyhow, no, for Lio tonight, this was a great win, a great match. If you didn't watch NXT tonight, this one, definitely go back and watch. Probably the best cruiserweight match in a while.
It's not as good as Leo's match he had 2 weeks ago when he returned.
You think so?
I do think so.
They're both great. Both fantastic matches. He's fantastic. So, Matt, what are your big takeaways tonight from NXT?
Lio, and more Lio. No, Lio definitely, but also Ciampa. God dang, he screams superstar to me. He looks so different. He looks pretty friggin' jacked. He's always in great shape. That beard works for him. I would argue there's a little bit of gray in the beard. It's not really a good look on a wrestler, I've always thought. But for him, it works. He looks like a psycho killer and a shredded, pretty jacked up version of one.
Well, especially.
I'm really excited to see him come back. I hope it's not too early for him. I hope he's rested the way he needs to rest and recover properly, because I want to see him get his run up top eventually.
Well, and Matt, to your point to me in the past, he looks like a psycho. He looks different, especially when he's standing 15 feet from the guys who you said looks pretty generic in the Undisputed Era.
Yes, even more so. Like, didn't you think he I don't know what the word is, outlooked them?
Outshined them. Yeah, he outshined them.
Like, he looked like a legitimate big star, and the other ones did not. Just physically, if you didn't know anything about those five people?
Yeah, if you look,
star.
If you look at them all in a lineup, you're like, well, the bearded guy's kicking all their asses.
Yes, that's what I meant. Yes.
So, speaking of killers, Rhea Ripley tonight versus Aaliyah. What's up with Aaliyah's career?
I don't know.
She's young, isn't she?
Yeah, she's
it's been
green,
for like 3 years now. She's been wrestling in NXT. She got pushed on Breaking Ground a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Rhea destroyed her tonight, ragdolled her around the ring, but man, want Rhea. So Rhea's going to be facing Shayna for the NXT Women's Championship.
Rhea looked like a badass.
Yeah, that's what you guys want to see, right?
You're not excited about that, Matt?
If she wins, I am.
You're like, I'll get behind anyone that beats Shayna Baszler.
Yes.
There you go. So after that very, very quick match, she got called out, Shayna, setting that match up. And Morrow was putting over this press conference Friday WWE's having in Las Vegas with Triple H, Tyson Fury, Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, Cain Velasquez, and Rey Mysterio. Raj, what's the scoop on this?
So they'll be announcing, pretty much it's expected for Crown Jewel. It's going to be Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez and Tyson Fury versus Braun Strowman at Crown Jewel. So, yeah. So they're using, it just seems like two similar matches for Crown Jewel as far as bringing a crossover athlete, with an MMA champion and then a boxing champion. But, it's what the Saudis want, they get.
Yeah.
I mean, but hang on, that's a Tyson Fury versus Braun Strowman is pretty friggin' particular for the Saudi to say, let me think of any random celebrity I can pick to choose to go against Braun Strowman. Do you know what I mean? Like, WWE always shopped at this idea to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was...
pick that.
I think it's not so much they want that match; it's that they want Tyson Fury, and they want to see what WWE can come up with, and WWE probably pitched Tyson Fury, Cain Velasquez, because Tyson Fury is a big star overseas, and as is Cain, and both these, Cain, his video on YouTube with Lesnar has gotten tons more views than anything else from SmackDown last week.
Here's the thing, really quick, sorry, Justin, is. The Saudis generally, the Saudi prince generally wants the more Western, the better, as far as as wrestling goes. He wants the Undertaker, he wants Goldberg, he wants all those types of that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So I would argue they would I'm surprised he didn't pick Wiley over him.
Pick who?
Wiley, who's the one who the boxer that he
Wilder.
Deon Wilder.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't pick him over, even though it'd be the wrong pick.
Well, Tyson Fury's overseas is the bigger pay-per-view draw for sure.
I think this is just a cheap out for WWE. I think this is to appease Saudi by saying we're giving you some big names from cross genres, but WWE knows both of these matches, maybe not Cain versus Brock as much, but both these matches could just shit the bed, but it won't matter because it's in the Saudi show. The Saudi show is kind of like this isolated, it's better if these two matches suck that they happen in Saudi versus at a Survivor Series, one of their building blocks of the company. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's how I look at it.
So yeah. I mean, and Kane, I could see this being a longer term deal because he's retired from MMA pretty much. So, and he had been training wrestling. He's been talking about it for a while. So, I don't think it ends there.
But he's going to get beat by Brock, right? So, like, what's the next thing?
He's not going to be the champion.
Right. So
I thought it was a non-title match. Is the word on the street?
I mean, they haven't said anything yet, but I mean, it would make sense for them to. It could. I mean, it would make sense for them to make it a non-title match, have Kane win, and then you do the title match later on. Because you're kind of out of guys for Brock now at this point. I mean, the only guy I could think of is Bray.
Strowman.
Dominic with a run-in.
Braun's in a big match coming up. You just said it.
Yeah. I mean, you could do Braun. They've done Braun before. Yeah, you could definitely do it again.
He's always viable, in my opinion. He can lose 55 matches in a row, and tomorrow I could see them putting the title on him, and I'd still buy that because he's the most viable one there is against him. Or Bray, obviously.
Friday at the press conference or Friday night on SmackDown, do we get the announcement about CM Punk and the FS1 show?
Why do we care so much?
No, I don't think they're gonna. No.
Why do we care? I'm not trying to be a dick.
I mean, CM Punk doing anything touching wrestling again is interesting.
WWE, I don't see them announcing it this early. We're still a month away from that show.
WWE's not going to announce it until Fox twists their arm and say, "Hey, promote it."
Right. Yeah.
So we got Breezango versus the Forgotten Sons.
I like Breezango's men at work entrance. That was fun.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. Why, I know that they just made again, that was like a new surprise comeback a few weeks ago at NXT that these guys are back on the program. Take a look at what NXT is lining up to combat against the competition that beat their ass in viewership last week. Breezango, who you made be jobber jokes for 2-3 years.
Hey, at least they were on TV while Ty Dillinger was in catering.
That's not the point. A cruiserweight title match when the cruiserweight title has been relegated to be a joke. If you actually look at what NXT decided to put out there, I'm not saying that Leo Rush's match wasn't entertaining or that Breezango didn't have a cool entrance, but if you take a look at what they try to stack up against this show of AEW that's firing on all cylinders, it's very questionable if you look at it.
I think they shot a very major shot right from the beginning, and I think the stuff with Ciampa was supposed to as well do that.
And it's interesting that more of the action on NXT happened. Some of the bigger stuff later in the show. To your point, Matt, the Finn Balor retrospective video package didn't air until 20 minutes before the show went off the air, before the main event. Maybe they thought they'd have more eyeballs then, but I would have thought they would have opened with Finn and Cole maybe, and pushed that front and center perhaps.
I like that. Yeah, you think so, but I like the way they started this, though. I did.
Yeah. Okay, so if that wasn't impressing you much, Justin LaBar, Boa versus Cameron Grimes after the Forgotten Sons picked up that victory. What did you think about Grimes getting this match with Killian Dane walking down into the ring after?
Another quick win. I mean, for keep on Trevor Lee, whatever his name is. I don't know. Killian Dane looks like a stud. I like him. I've liked him since they've reintroduced him back in NXT. I like this Belfast brawler deal, but nothing much here. I don't know. It is what it is.
I agree with you.
I can't see Trevor Lee doing much on the main roster.
This is the main roster. NXT is the main roster.
It's not.
Yes, it is. They're all equal.
You're doing 800,000 viewers a week and 400 people at Full Sail versus 4 million for SmackDown last week. And granted, it's not going to continue that, but
we'll see who does better this week. Raj is what Justin's saying.
No. I'm just saying. I understand what you're saying, Raj, but at this point now, NXT is on an equal 3. That is an equal 3. It is.
Oh, look at the priorities. Look at the draft. They're not even mentioning NXT.
Because next draft they will. Next draft it'll be all 3. They're only doing Raw and SmackDown because of the Fox move right now. Yeah, next draft will be all 3. Mark my words.
All right.
After that, Roderick Strong versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. Roderick, of course, from the Undisputed Era, North American champion, in a non-title match tonight. Surprisingly competitive. Did you think so, Matt?
Yeah, but the main part of this match, I thought, was the fact that they sprinkled in some entertainment into this.
With the Undisputed Era?
With what's his name? Who came out?
Ciampa. Velveteen Dream, pardon me.
Dream. He put a friggin' naked picture of him up on the damn screen.
That was pretty risque.
Yeah, it was very risque, but it was very entertaining for NXT, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that felt like, oh, we got the first sign that Vince is involved in the creative of NXT.
Well, no, come on, let's be honest. We're slamming them because it's constantly wrestling, which we say we wanted to see more of on those other SmackDown and Raw. We didn't want to see horrible, terrible backstage segments anymore. That's what we've been saying over the years here.
Yeah.
So here they are putting these great matches on, and we're crucifying by saying AEW's is better because they're giving us the whole package. The aesthetic of the show looks better. All this other great stuff looks way better. I like the fact that they took a little chance tonight. And the match with somebody who generally bores me to death. No offense, Roddy. I'm being serious. I'm not to watch on his matches anymore. This lightened it up for me. Anytime Velveteen, you sprinkle him into something, I think it's always going to be good.
In 2 weeks, he's going to have a rematch with Roderick Strong for the NXT North American Championship.
I'm surprised that photo made it on TV because it looked like they were showing a landing strip. I mean, I guess it was a micro, But,
what was it? Micro blurs? It was so fast before I could really see it.
They have pictures of it online, but it looks like a landing strip with the little,
Did you zoom in?
What's that?
Did you zoom in? Why'd you laugh? I was going to get him to admit it, dude. You're the worst.
I'm not falling for that.
I was going to. Yes, you were. You're about to say, hang on, let me go check. We would have seen it we would have seen it live.
Yeah.
Right.
So the first pick of Roderick Strong with the belt around him, which is kind of a takeoff of the George Costanza pick, that was legitimately on his Instagram, as someone's pointing out in the chat.
That is definitely the Costanza. Yeah.
Ciampa came out with a crutch in his hand, steel chair, entered the ring with both weapons.
And looked like a badass.
Yeah.
And so he's going to return to the ring next week against Angel Garza.
Dude, people give Cena props all the time for coming back. This dude freaking comes back for everything.
And
wasn't this supposed to be career-ending, Raj?
Yeah, neck surgery in April. So,
did they work this? Did they lie?
No, it's legit. So I don't know what he did, but what is it now? April, 6 months, and they thought at least minimum 9. So pretty crazy.
Somebody wrote rag. Definitely. Rag.
I mean, I guess the G is 2 spots over from the J on the keyboard, but still.
Yeah.
Do I get in trouble for what? Talking wrestling? No, that's the stupidest comment that was made tonight. Thanks for playing the homeboy.
Dakota Kai versus Bianca Bel-Air. This was a little competitive, but Bianca won this match and then called Rhea Ripley out, saying she doesn't care if she was the first NXT UK Women's Champion. If someone wants a piece of Shayna, they have to go through her first. So I'm assuming we get that match in the next week or 2.
Don't you guys think Bel-Air's a big star in the making, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
In fact, Bianca versus Rhea, that's to me they're both. They're the future of the NXT Women's Division, and both of them, I think, if they were booked right, could be great on the main roster.
Yeah. If
big if.
But this was good. This was good all the way around, I thought, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They were hyping Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijakovic, the rubber match for next week's show. We got another video package tonight. Then we saw the video package about hyping Finn Balor's return to NXT. And this focused on his main roster run and then his return last week, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really did their editing work to pull out the highlights of Finn Balor for Raw and SmackDown's career.
They got an archivist. I'm sure they got it all tagged,
Yeah.
You could fit on one 3x5 index card, the highlights of Finn Balor's main roster run. And I like Finn Balor. Pete Dunne was backstage, words for Damian Priest. So they keep building that up.
They're wrestling next week. That's next week as well.
Which I'm psyched for, by the way.
Damian Priest, like I said, he's going to be on the main roster. The main roster.
He's on the main roster, Raj.
That hit me late. I just got it. You don't think that bow and arrow crap is corny as heck?
No, I thought that was great. The way it shot to the screen, the flames came up.
Yeah, I think he has.
Are you being serious?
No, I like it.
He sounds cool. He looks cool. He sounds cool. He looks cool. He looks different. He sounds different, and he's got the size. Vince is going to want him on Raw or SmackDown.
All true. I had all that. Well, it wasn't cool, but I had all that too, and they made me stutter. I rest my case.
Yeah.
Glenn looks like a big baby. Oh, baby.
Who put that on there?
Pinchy GQ. Pinchies.
Anywho,
Who did put that up?
I didn't.
I don't have control of these things.
just magically appear. So we got the big main event tonight: Walter versus Kushida. This went on for a very long time.
Too long.
A lot of matches.
It's a good match, but it's long.
Because they were trying to protect both.
A lot of matches. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they wanted Kushida to look strong in this, right? And this is the problem. It's like when you try and protect, like we've raised the bar so high for protecting guys that we talked about before. Everything's got to be Batman versus Superman and go on for a half an hour with a dozen false finishes. This was too long.
Am I old? Am I old real quick when I
Yes.
think that his character is corny?
Kushida?
Or Walter. Oh, Kushida?
Yeah. What is that? You guys don't think that's weird that he's coming out as Marty McFly?
He really likes Back to the Future. You know, it is probably one of my top 5 movies of all time, so I can't fault the guy that much.
Yeah, but it's like Kyrie saying with the pirate thing, where it didn't make sense for a while, and then afterwards you just get used to it.
Because you're right. That was an eyesore for me at first when she first came out as a pirate. I'm like, there's no way this poor girl's gonna get this over. She did.
And it's Back to the Future. It's not like he came out with a never-ending story gimmick or Flight of the Navigator or a lesser 80s film.
I think anytime you're dressing up like a movie character, it's just like you're trying to be someone else, and you're not your own character.
Yeah.
Sting
is the one I was just
Razor
about to
Ramon?
say. Yeah, but Razor wasn't so over the top. He wasn't wearing the Tony Montana suit. You know, he had the gold.
Razor wasn't over the top, sure.
No, I mean like Tony Montana over the top. He wasn't coming dressed like Tony Montana.
I think the Marty McFly spinoff, I think it's, if you look, WWE has not had, even Shinsuke, they have not had great luck with Japanese.
It's not any of their
males.
fault. WWE's own fault.
No, what I'm saying is WWE's not had great luck with Japanese talent, male talent in recent years. They've tried, Hideo Itami. I know we couldn't say how I think they're going overboard trying to strap too much of a character.
Though, dude, because it sounds like we're blaming the talent. That's not the talent. Phrase that WWE has not had good luck with their own creative team working with the Japanese talent, because that's the issue. I'm sorry, Nakamura was leave me the F alone and push him out on TV and let him be. Don't touch him.
I don't know if this is how it is. I feel like WWE is dressing him up like Marty McFly to try to give him an identity and definition. Seriously, because I think they've got lost in the shuffle with Japanese stars, with Japanese talent.
Sam7 saying, so is Walter Biff. That's
Yes.
great.
It was a greatest bully heels of all time. One of them for sure.
Yeah.
If Walter says butthead in his next promo,
If he says, why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
You're about as useful as a screen door in a battleship.
How did the Miz never get hit with that gimmick? The Miz looks so much like Tom F. Wilson that it just seems like that was just waiting to happen.
He's too
He's gonna
small.
be big. Yeah, he's too small.
That's true.
Biff
Just
was
get him with a
big-
short enough guy and it'll work. Anyhow, so this match went on forever. Both guys look strong, but Walter ultimately won.
Right guy won for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good match. I mean, it's a good match, but they're doing the overrun just because they feel like they have to do the overrun to get a little advantage on AEW, and they don't need it.
They're abusing it. I didn't even think what you saw in the overrun. I don't think it was something that's going to go, oh my God, I need to make sure I tune into them first next week.
Wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
And my critique, by the way, here's the one critique I have of Walter. I dig Walter, size and everything, but I've long since, every time I watch him on Dude Live TV, he's constantly his eyes, he's looking over constantly at the cameraman or producer to find out when he needs to stop looking. And tonight I could catch him 3 different times asking the referee the time of where they are. And maybe it's just me looking really close. And if it is, I'm sorry, I'm picking on him, but it drove me nuts. I constantly watch him live TV cues. He's constantly looking at the producer.
I'm gonna go watch for that now.
Yeah.
You'll catch him in the match tonight. And if you catch him, because they always have him standing with his group, right? Posing, and he's always looking to see, are we off? I don't know if he's watching the countdown but it drives me nuts. The that's the one thing about him that it's driving me nuts when I watch him.
You want to see something real quick, fans at home? Type in Matt Morgan, Nathan Jones debut. It's when Paul Heyman brings us out, my very first time on SmackDown. You'll catch me looking at the Gimmick-tron like 55,000 times. I'm looking at the hard camera, acting like big, mad, snorting, and doing the whole fucking flex and shit. And I continue to look up at the Titantron like 300 times. It's just it's a greenhorn mistake.
What?
You know what I mean?
And I have to correct JW in the chat. It was bras on their head, not jock straps. Get your weird science trivia right.
It's a hat from the Super Bowl. I have on backwards. What are you talking about?
Before we get to the news, all of a sudden, Walter with a Biff gimmick is not the worst idea I've ever heard.
No, it is not. It's a great gimmick.
Right, yeah.
It stands the test of time, dude. That is such a great bully heel gimmick.
Yeah, because Walter right now, he's just kind of just a big dude in trunks.
Soccer hooligan.
That can work.
You know, in Imperium, none of them are British. Well, we apparently got that wrong every time we talk about Imperium, that they're like this British stable. They're all European, but not British.
Yeah. All right. So, two good shows. What would you guys give the edge on this week?
AEW.
The edge to?
AEW.
The AEW was pretty sweet.
Same here.
I think both shows are going to have less viewership than last week, but AEW is still going to dominate.
Yeah, I think every wrestling show is down this week. Raw is already. I think NXT is going to be in the 700, 800,000 range. AEW probably 1.1, 1.2 million. And SmackDown probably like down a lot, 3.2 million maybe after 4 last week, so 3.9. So anyway, let's get to this news. We've been running over a bit, so let's get to this news real quick. First thing, Edge was, we had talked earlier about Edge. The report was that he's returning to wrestling. Obviously, the Saudi Arabia show's around the corner, so that's got people talking. He kind of denied it on Twitter, but then it came out yesterday that he was in Pittsburgh on WWE business, according to PW Insider. So, and that is where Dr. Joseph Maroon is. That is where people go to get cleared.
That's where I was supposed to go test before I was coming back to. Yep.
So
that's accurate.
It's where your drug testing and your physicals get done.
Yep.
Maybe he just needed some Z-Packs.
Could be. Another thing, Sasha Banks and Bray Wyatt were both injured at Hell in a Cell. Bray Wyatt was not too serious. He did a dark match angle after Raw where he put the mandible claw on Cesaro. Sasha Banks, it seems like she's got some sort of back injury. It's not known how serious it is or how long she'll be out. The Big Show, he's getting his own travel TV series.
Wow. In addition to his Netflix show.
Yeah. So another TV series for him. It's called, let's see here. It's called Big Show versus the World, A Giant Abroad. It's him traveling to these different countries that have some mysterious stuff to him, and he's going to be examining the mysteries.
Is this on WWE Network?
No, this is, it's with ITV America's Think Factory Media. So I'm not sure.
So a real TV channel?
Yeah, it's being shopped around right now, so it hasn't gotten a distributor yet.
ITV, like British ITV.
Yeah.
Okay. That's legit. In
Europe,
they're huge.
And then finally, NWA Powerrr debuted this week. Me and Justin were talking on Twitter. I said it kind of reminded me of like NXT meets Southpaw regional wrestling. It was like, like the graphics and stuff were old school. The NWA logo, it was so old school. But the promos on the show I thought were better than anything outside of Jericho's promo tonight on wrestling in the last couple of weeks.
Because there's people cutting them. You got yourself Storm, Magnus, and Eli Drake.
They're great.
That's like Murderer's Row of promos.
And then Tim Storm, he had
got a promo too.
Yeah, and he did the best babyface promo, like such a great 80s babyface promo where it's kind of corny, but you're really behind the guy watching this.
I agree with that. Really quick, and Raj, Glenn, you didn't see it?
No, I did not watch it.
You gotta watch this for the sake of the throwback promo set.
I heard it was good.
That is the coolest part for me for the show. That is my favorite part of the show is the old school promo set where you walk on and there's this huge old school looking table and the cheesy graphic in the background. I think that's so cool. It screams wrestling. Right?
It does, Matt. It does. Like wrestling fans love nostalgia. How many times we all revert back and say, "Oh, this is just like this storyline. Oh, we'd love to have this 2.0." So this taps into that nostalgia factor, but it only taps into the nostalgia factor for those that are maybe in their 30s or 40s or older because we can recall the original incarnation of regional territory wrestling. somebody younger than 30 watching it.
Right. Cut your argument in half. It's brand new to somebody who's younger, who's never seen it before.
It is. Yeah. You're right. What is old is new again. However, if you put that side by side to NXT, which NXT is basically a studio wrestling with $1 million budget with no choreographics. I'm sorry?
They're taking place inside the ring or backstage in a black area.
Yeah, but NXT still looks a lot more modern than what this is aiming for. I'm saying if you're right. You are right. One of the best things indie wrestlers can do today.
But this was trying to not look modern. It was almost like the Stranger Things kind of thing, where it was trying to combine the '80s cheese with.
It's like Southpaw wrestling. They're kind of parodying themselves of let's be as old school, low budget in a way as we can.
Right, but then the actual promos and the ring work, they weren't doing that. I thought the promos were great. I thought Eli Drake and James Storm, why these guys aren't on a national level right now, just blows my mind. Yeah. But NWA Powerrr, it's on YouTube. It's at like 140,000 views right now. Maybe it's more than that. It's like 170 maybe. The Rock praised it. Jim Cornette, he's one of the color commentators for the show, and The Rock congratulated them, wrote, "Congrats, Jim, the boys crew. Stumbled across the show last night and enjoyed it. I grew up in territories and started my career at Channel 5 in Memphis, so I have a lot of love, respect for small-scale crowd TV shows. Cool vintage feel. Keep working hard, boys. Rock." And
that dude's the coolest guy on the planet. He just continues to show why. I mean, come on, he's giving NWA shout-outs. He gives everything that you think The Rock would be too busy to know about or even watch. Shout-outs.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the first time he's done this with something like that. Remember, was it Ricochet? Like he just randomly. There's so many things that he does like that. That's why, dude, this dude's the coolest guy on the planet.
Did he congratulate you on being elected mayor?
No.
Damn it, Rock. But Justin, to your point, I feel like the Powerrr production in a lot of ways almost looks better than NXT in a weird way, because NXT looks like it's just blacked out. It's just dark. It's like a ring with a light. Whereas this, you have, the crowd lit up. It looks like there's people there. And then you got the studio where they do the promos. It is old school. Anyone watching it, you can tell it feels 80s. And,
I'm all for them trying it, because at this point, I mean, it's a new flavor on the menu. And again, and it kind of taps in nostalgia. So I'm all for it. And again, I watched the majority of it. And I appreciate it. So I'm not trying to
they need to get the ring, dude. She is a star waiting to happen.
Who is that?
Camille, yeah.
Oh yeah, Camille.
Yeah.
She's good in the ring. She's a star waiting to happen, dude.
Mm-hmm.
What was I gonna say real quick? Yeah, am I being a homer? I'm not saying this because he's my boy, but dude, I'm sorry. Cornette makes that show, the matches go. It makes you care more. Talks 100 miles an hour.
He was awesome. It's a fun show. Check it out. I don't know if I could watch it on every week for a year, but checking it out.
How deep the roster is for that? I know what you mean.
Right? Yeah. But
Cornette blocked me on Twitter.
Did he really?
Would you say to him?
He blocked me by association. One, I disagreed with him when I went out to Lucha Underground and defended them, and B, Mark Madden came to my defense, and him and Madden hate each other. And Madden used to be on my podcast, so I've been blocked by association.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
Apologize to the man.
How? I can't type to him. I don't have his number.
Everybody tweet at Cornette saying unblock Justin LaBar.
He doesn't know. He doesn't care who I am. I actually like the guy. I have no problem with him, but he and I disagreed about Lucha Underground, and then Madden came to my defense, and all hell went loose.
Old people are weird on Twitter. Like JBL blocked me, and someone just tweeted something at me that was mean about JBL. I didn't even say it. Like William Shatner blocked me, for Christ's sakes. Like weird shit happens.
William Shatner.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. But in a way,
you're not getting into that. I'm sorry, Raj. I gotta ask this. How did you get blocked? What did you do?
Oh, I think it was something about, I was talking about like crowdfunding TV series that were canceled or something like that. And it was funny, like he's really against, I don't know. It was just the whole thing. He took weird offense at something I said.
I thought that was way fine. I apologize, folks.
I'm sorry. It was stupid. It was absolutely stupid.
Yeah, every now and then we'll find ourselves blocked by random people, like Bull Dempsey was one.
Really?
Yeah, and Kalisto. It's like, all right, whatever.
Bull blocked you?
Yeah. Not me personally, but the Wrestling Inc. Twitter account for some weird. I can't even remember him ever being in a headline.
That's so weird, because I just worked a show with him 2 months ago, and he even said, "Hey, I heard or seen you doing the Wrestling Inc. podcast. That's pretty cool."
Huh.
So that's really bizarre.
I wore my Bull Fit shirt on this podcast for like a year straight.
Maybe that's it.
That's a great story, Glenn. Sometimes these things happen by mistake. Sometimes you like people by you're not trying to do, especially on Twitter.
Yeah, they'll be like you're trying to select another option and you accidentally hit block, or I don't know.
You try to hit mute and you hit block, and
right. Yeah.
It must have been an accident. Tell yourself what you have to. Anyhow, lastly, Raj, Hell in a Cell, Wrestling Inc.
Wasn't last night.
Oh yeah, Hell in the Cell. These last 10 days were the busiest on the site for non-WrestleMania week ever. And it's funny, like a bad pay-per-view, like an epically bad pay-per-view generates so much more interest than a good pay-per-view. So like Sunday and Monday were huge. And yeah, the Hell in the Cell numbers have just been insane. They're bigger than last Wednesday when AEW and NXT went head-to-head for the first time. Is bigger than SmackDown on Fox. So yeah, just really wild.
This is what I'm talking about, though. Online, it is generally negative across the board. It just is. That's the society we're in today. It's easier to go in a comment section on somebody's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter page and say something mean versus saying something nice. It outweighs it considerably. I don't know what's going on. I don't get it. But there's something going on here where negativity or something bad happens or terrible news, people come flying in to see it. They like a good car crash. I don't know. I don't understand it.
it's not just wrestling. I mean,
no, I'm not saying it's wrestling. I'm saying
It's everything.
Hey, turn them. Yeah,
I don't know why.
there's far more viral videos of the ugliness in the world versus like people that do acts of kindness. You know, like I don't know.
Gotta change that.
Yep. Let's not debate all of society's ills and the negative impacts of online culture on.
Glenn, just be quiet and tell us why William Shatner blocked you. Just own up to it.
It was something about the show Timeless. I was talking about when it got canceled. No, dude, it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
I like the Timeless for the record, by the way.
No,
You said William Shatner looked like Bull Dempsey, didn't you?
No, that was. Remember when William Shatner narrated Breaking Ground like 3 years ago? Like that was a weird thing.
He's got a Hall of Famer, or no? He inducted Jerry Lawler.
Dr. Lawler.
Yeah, so he's got ties to wrestling. Even weirder.
We all forget getting me unblocked by Cornette. We all need to type to William Shatner and get this figured out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Anyhow, Friday, we're going to be back here to talk about SmackDown. Who is on the show Friday, Raj?
It'll be Matt, Glenn, and Michael Wiseman.
Okay, I can deal with that. Anyhow, he's BP Matt Morgan. He's Justin LaBar. Justin, your podcast thingamanon is back. And you got Britt Baker Friday.
Saturday, yes.
Saturday.
Yeah, presented by Blue Chew. We have Britt Baker this weekend. Good old JR the following week. It's going to be a lot of good fun this month.
There you go.
Yeah.
Raj,
subscribe right here. Subscribe. Where is it? Over here. There you go.
Raj, what's coming up on the site?
We got a new interview with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, one of the greatest of all time. So check
Absolutely. It out. Matt Morgan, how's Longwood this time of year?
Fantastic.
Nice. He's BP Matt Morgan. Give him a follow. I'm Glenn Rubenstein. You can find me on Twitter at Glenn Rubenstein. And we'll catch you back here on Friday night for Friday Night SmackDown on Fox on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Until then, take care.